Well, welcome and thank you so much for joining us tonight. As people keep joining, we'll just let them hop on and get on when they can. We're really happy to provide this opportunity for all of our alumni. And I got to tell you, it's been an incredible couple weeks for UNK athletics. And we have our fall season wrapping up for some. Some of them are still playing. And then we also have our winter seasons kicking off. And so it's a really fun time in athletics right now. Just an FYI, we are recording this event and we will post it here in a couple days when we get the recording done. We'll post that up to our YouTube page and you can access that at any time to watch that again. Once we get started, please mute yourself, but feel free to unmute to ask a question, and you can always use the chat for questions as well. We're going to keep this to about 45 minutes tonight, so we're going ahead and jump right in. The fall season has been really successful, and we're really happy and we're getting ready to start the winter season, like I mentioned, and we're really privileged to be joined tonight by several of the coaches. A couple of them will be joining us here in a few minutes. So we do have, right now we have Coach Brady Bonsall, men and women's indoor track and field. We have Carrie Amy, women's basketball, Dalton Jensen with wrestling, Coach Kevin Lofton, men's basketball. He called me a few minutes ago and he is wrapping up practice and on his way to jump on. And Becky O'Connell with swimming and diving, and she is also wrapping up practice and will be joining us in a little bit. Each coach is gonna have about 5 minutes to tell us about their teams and their upcoming season. And to help us kick off everything tonight, it is my pleasure to welcome UNK's Athletic Director, Mark Bauer.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Trish. Really appreciate the Alumni Association, Lucas Dart, for hosting this opportunity to get a preview of what's to come for this winter. As Trish indicated, we've had a lot of excitement with our fall season wrapping up. Coach Brady Bonsall's cross-country team, men's team, finishing 25th in the nation just this last weekend. And of course, we all know his women's program won the MIAA championship, which was, I believe, the first time since 1985 our program has won a conference championship. So very excited for him. Our volleyball team just went through the selection process and made it into the regional championships. And so they'll be playing in a couple weeks down in Central Missouri. And of course, football will be playing down in St. Angelos, Texas this coming weekend. We've gotten off to a great start as far as I'm concerned with our winter sports as well. We've seen some national and regional rankings from some of our programs. I know the energy is high right now. In fact, I just saw a tweet come out. Coach Lofton was out at Mount Rushmore with his team today, so doing a little sightseeing while they're up there in the mountain area. Anyway, I don't want to take a lot of time either. I want to wish all of our coaches a great winter season. Again, I know we're off to a good start. I just want to let all of you know that are tuning in, our alumni, fans. If you are unable to attend any of our events, we have Loper Vision going. Our streaming is much better this year than it ever has been. And so I do encourage you, if you can't attend, you can sure get online at our MIAA network, Loper Vision, and be able to view the action. So anyway, I wish all our coaches, again, like I said, and teams, great luck this winter. And I look forward to watching everybody. So I don't know who's first, Trish.
You're handing it back to me.
All right.
Thank you so much for that welcome and update. We appreciate that. And congratulations to the football and volleyball teams on their successes that they're finishing up right now. And to kick us off, it's Coach Brady Bonsall. He's starting his 15th season with the men's and women's indoor track and field coach. And during his time at UNK, he's seen student athletes qualify for NCAA Division II championships in both cross country and track, set numerous school records, and earn All-American and academic All-American honors. He was recently named the MIAA Women's Cross Country Coach of the Year. Congratulations. And as AD Bauer just said, he just returned from Tampa, Florida, where the men's cross country team competed in the national championship meet, where they finished 25th. Great job. That's incredible. The indoor teams will kick off their season in December at the UNK Pre-Holiday Classic. So welcome, Coach Brady Bonsall.
Thank you. Now you said 5 minutes per team, and I have 2 teams, so that's 10 minutes, right? No, I'm just kidding. All right. Yeah, I thought I would basically just kind of share with you all, just kind of by event area, some of the people that we see being able to have an impact for us this year, and maybe even, remind of who maybe the key losses are in that area, or in those same areas and everything. MIAA track and field is quite honestly just a completely different level. And I know you can say that in the MIAA about so many sports. And I know I'm partial because I'm the track and field coach, but I would say MIAA track and field, completely different level. Okay. And Division II track and field has been doing that. And I don't know if that is the COVID seniors that are back, or if it's the cheater spikes that Nike makes now that people actually question if those spikes should be legal or not, or just the great indoor facility. You think just in the MIAA, between what Pittsburgh State, Northwest Missouri, and Washburn have now, so where we have our conference championships, because it rotates between those three venues. But really, it is really amazing how much it has taken off in the last 10 years, but really in the last 2 years, to be honest with you. So, so many times in the MIAA, you could be a top 15, 20 program, and you're kind of happy at the conference meet to finish middle of the pack, to be completely honest. And so for us right now, we can see people that we think have a chance to qualify for nationals. And then we sit there and go, okay, where are we going to be as a team? Okay, let's not even think about that right now. Let's just worry about what we need to do, and let's worry about us, and not worry about the other teams. And those things all kind of shake out. And a team that we really sometimes see ourselves as being rivals with and everything is Fort Hays State. And Fort Hays a year ago absolutely was that team. Their men's team in particular, at both the indoor and outdoor conference meets, performed really well when it mattered most. So if I look back at our teams from last year, we competed well at the national meets. If it wasn't the COVID year where they were taking less people to nationals, we would have had as many people going to the D2 national meet as we ever have. So we competed really well, had a lot of national qualifying type people in what was the toughest year that I know of, but the toughest year I think there ever was in Division II. Yet at the conference indoor and outdoor meets, we were just okay. All right. So a goal for us as a team is to be better at the conference meets, even though at the end of the day, it's probably the national meet that matters a little bit more. It's how many people that you qualify matter a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we want to be better at the conference meet. So the throws are always kind of that's the group that has historically led our program. And, we lose Tiara Schmidt. Logan Prater decided late in the summer not to return. She would have been a 6th-year senior, decided just to move on with her career and that sort of thing. So those are two big losses for us. But Jordan Dockweiler on the women's side in the throws is someone who we could really see stepping into the gap, maybe more so in the shot where Logan would have been in the weight throw. And then Andrew Schuler and Alex Garacki are two guys. On the men's side, we've just got a number of older guys, and not very many of them were big time recruits coming out of high school. So the throws is definitely an area. Just get in the weight room, get some great coaching from Dane Toby, and people can have an impact. On the jump side, we lost Mackenzie Puckett, who was a volleyball player and a triple jumper for us. But probably the biggest area of strength for us in the jumps right now is the high jump, with Abby Everett being an All-American outdoors and Braden Sorensen being an All-American, both indoors and outdoors. And then Montrez Jackson had an off year last year because of a high ankle sprain that he had gotten during the football season a year ago that just lingered. But once the football seasons, and Montrez has had by far the best football season he's ever had. So if we can get him through the playoffs healthy, we're excited to have him back as well. Haley Shaw and Claire Cornell are two sort of local products. One's from Kearney High and one's from Elm Creek, who are both seniors who we know can compete in the MIAA in the horizontal jumps. And last year was probably the first year that they were at that level. Well, Claire was a transfer for us, but Haley in her 3rd year, it's the first time that we thought, okay, it's the first year that they've been at that level. But maybe they're a good example of the person who the day of the conference meet, you can't be average. You got to be good that day. And sometimes it just takes experience to be that person and to do that the next year. So we think those two can contribute. As you look at the sprints, the hurdles, kind of the mid distance, I kind of group all that together. Micah Swedberg from Wallace, a 400 guy, is the guy that really took off in the outdoor season last year. If they were taking the normal 20 people to nationals in every event, he was like 15th, 16th in his event. He would have been qualified. Jack Drahota, who's a hurdler from Ravenna, probably more outdoors in the 400 hurdles than in the high hurdles, but we think he can be a big guy for us. And then we had 2 guys at the national meet in the 800 last year with Wes Ferguson and Seth Simonson. So those guys I just listed off, that's also your 4x4 right there. So we think that crew could be pretty good. And we really believe our men's distance medley relay has a chance to be very, very good. You know, you got to get, it's funny, the process, you know, I look at a guy last year like Luke Stuckey that got 4th at the national meet in the 1500, but he didn't qualify till the very last meet before nationals. So getting there is on it. You don't say that's half the process. Getting there is 80% of the process. And then when you get there, just be as good as you are, and you're gonna perform well. And we think between the men's 4x4, but definitely the distance medley that we can do that. But I guess also on the women's side, in that sprint hurdle area, Nicole Messbarger and Rebecca Rowe, who are a couple, one's from Kearney Catholic, from Aquinas Catholic. They were in the conference in high school. They were battling it out at the Class C state meet with each other in high school. But those two, along with Kyla Carlson from Aurora, are ones that can contribute. And then finally with the distance crew, like you said, the women's team won the conference meet in cross country, but we did it by having the best team. We didn't necessarily do it by having the best big hitters. And when you get to track, the big hitters matter. So there's a number of people that are capable. We had 4 different women over 6 races this fall. We had 4 different women be our #1 runner at a meet. And all of them are capable, whether it's Zoe Ritz, Destiny Renke, Maddie Bott, Grace Bonzel. There's others as well as you get down in the middle distance with Bailey Barnett. Actually, sorry, Bailey Ahlstrom. She's married now. All of them are capable. And same thing with the men. Like you mentioned, the men just got 25th at the national meet in cross country. Miles Bach was a big transfer for us from Gonzaga. That's Maddie's younger brother. And then Lucas Stuckey, who was an All-American outdoors. You know, I realize I'm just rattling off names, and if you don't know our team, you're going, oh, he's just saying names. I don't know all this crew, but those are all people that I think if you start reading the newspaper, you look at Peter's press releases, you watch, those are names that you should expect to see, and names that don't just do well at a regular season invite somewhere, but that can really have a big impact for us. So one of the things, I guess this is the final thing, would just be how we navigate this year schedule wise. Last year was very, very different. Because of COVID. You know, we had 14 regular season dates, 7 of them were home meets. So I was no different than Carrie Amy or Kevin Lofton. I was home one week and I was away the next. And then I was home the net one week and then I was away the next. And that's not how track usually works. And this year we go back to 2 or 3 meets at the Devaney Center that UNL hosts, maybe just 1 meet at Northwest, 1 meet at Washburn, still have a couple of home meets, but maybe not as many as in the past. So for us coaches, this is going back to the old schedule, but any college coach will tell you that if you skip something for 1 year, the next year, over half your team hasn't done the old way. Because on any team, over 50% of the team is your freshman and sophomore classes. And so you skip something for 1 year, and then all of a sudden you're doing something new for the majority of the team. And so for us coaches that are been doing it forever, nothing's going to seem new. It's just like, oh, this is just the old way. But it will be different, and that has an impact on whether it's progressions in the high jump or some things related to the throwing events, or just even heat assignments when you go to a big meet at a Division I school. It's just things that we didn't have last year that we'll have to work our way through. So again, thank you for all of you being here, and I guess Trisha, is it a Q&A time? If anybody, there's always many really super insightful track questions to be asked, I know.
Well, we will have time at the end for questions.
Okay.
For right now, we're going to move on to Coach Carrie Amy. But thank you so much, Coach Bonzel. Carrie Amy has been the women's basketball head coach since 2015 and is the 7th head coach in school history. Coach Amy has a successful coaching record here with the Lopers. The past 2 years have been the best in school history. In 2019-20, UNK went 26-6 to place 3rd in the MIAA and finished in the national rankings. Last year, the team went 23-4, with the Lopers winning the MIAA tournament title and recording the program's 3rd trip to the Sweet 16. The Lopers have started their season 3-1, including a win on Saturday over nationally ranked Colorado School of Mines. Congratulations and welcome, Coach Carrie Amy.
Thanks everyone for being here tonight. And you stole my thunder there a little bit, Trish, with the good news about Colorado School of Mines. I know that's kind of a rivalry from back in the day in the RMAC. So I'll get to that in just a minute, but just want to give a little bit of a preview for our team this year. we have 16 players on our roster this year, 10 of which are returners, 6 are newcomers. 3 of our student athletes have recently decided to redshirt, which is a great thing. We've kind of been bottled up here a little bit with COVID. So with players having opportunities for extra years and all sorts of things, our roster is a little bit more full than maybe we expected and anticipated, especially in our point guard position, where we have Haley Simmental, who's now in her 7th year as a college basketball player. So it's great to have somebody who you feel like is getting to cheat on all the tests, because she's got all the answers, because she's been studying for a lot longer than a lot of the student athletes that she's playing against. So Haley is a phenomenal player. So it's incredible to have her around for a few extra years. In addition to her, our other returners, we have 4 of our 5 starters back from last season. We have 8 returners who played a significant amount of minutes over the past couple of years. We actually have 5 players on our team right now who have received all MIAA honors at some point in their career, in Brooke Carlson, Claire Kirsch, Alyssa Backus, Megan Holt, and Haley Simmental. So as you can kind of see, our returning core is as good as we could ask for, and they're even better people. So that makes it even more fun to coach them and to have them as part of our program. And then we have 6 newcomers, and 2 of them are transfers. One was actually the starting point guard at UNO last year, Sarah Schmidt. And then another one is a transfer from Regis University, grad transfer. Grace O'Neill is her name, and she started at Regis. So I think we have about 8 people on our team right now who've started in college at some point or another in their career. So that's super helpful. And we really lean on them for the leadership on our team. We also have 4 freshmen, and 2 of them have decided to redshirt, again, just because of all the experience that's still on our roster. So 2 of them have redshirted, and then a couple that are have opportunities to play for us this year are Samantha Moore from Mullen, Nebraska. She's a 6-foot guard who we really feel like we got to steal with, just as versatile as she is, and I think she's going to be an exciting player over the course of the next several years. She's got a lot of family around Kearney, so it's great because she has her own little cheering section of about probably 20 or 30 people. So that's been helping our crowds out here the last couple of games. And also Elena Beneke from South Dakota is a freshman that is not redshirting and has already seen a little bit of time. So those 2, as they get more and more acclimated to the college game, they have a chance to really help our team moving forward. As Trish said, we've had 4 games. We're 3-1. We dropped an early game, the second game of the season, to Southwest Minnesota State, who's a very good team. They have a ton of returners and COVID seniors, and so they were very experienced. They had a ton of continuity, and we led for 30 minutes of the game, and somehow the last quarter we just kind of let it slip away. But recently, as Trish said, we played Colorado School of Mines on Saturday in conjunction with a Loper alumni event. So we had several of our former women's basketball players come back, and I was able to meet a ton of former Lopers and get to know them and have an opportunity to hear their stories about their experiences. And I think it was really inspiring for our student athletes to be able to have some time with them and have an opportunity to get to know who they are and when they played and hear their stories. And I feel like after our student athletes met them that morning, I felt like there was probably no chance we were going to lose that game because they felt really motivated. Several of those alums came from a long way all over the country to be here. So it was a great experience for our student athletes, and we played a great game. And Colorado School of Mines was actually ranked number 8 in the country. So it was an intense game, and it was physical, and they matched up with us really well. But like I said, our team played phenomenally, and we were able to win fairly handily. I think it ended up being a 19-point game. So preseason wise, we were picked third in the MIAA. We were ranked 26th in the first preseason poll. So, the expectations, I think, of our team are fairly high. Our team doesn't really talk about it ever. We just try to focus on the process, and we focus on, okay, what can we do today to be better than we were yesterday? And I think we've done a pretty decent job with that over the course of the last several years. I think that's been one of the reasons why we've had so much growth over the past, 3 or 4 seasons. So despite the expectations, I think our team's having just as much fun and having really the time of their lives. You come to practice, and our team's just full of joy. They love what they do. They have a great time doing it. And so we always talk about, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you're probably not going to be great at it. Our team really does embrace that and brings a lot of passion to practices and to what we're trying to do. So a look ahead quickly, our MIAA schedule starts not this coming week, or not this week that we're currently in, but the following week. So we'll play at Emporia, at Washburn, at Fort Hays. So it's the gauntlet in women's basketball. All 3 games will be very tough on the road. Nothing like starting out with a test to kind of see where we're at in the MIAA. But we're looking forward to getting the MIAA season kicked off. We finish up our non-conference season this week with a game on Wednesday. We'll play College of St. Mary, and then on Saturday we will play in-state rival Chadron State. Outside of that, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is with COVID, we have a lot of upperclassmen who are going to be finishing their degrees. So they will not only be graduating with undergraduate degrees from UNK, hopefully several of them will be graduating with master's degrees from the University of Nebraska-Kearney. So we're doing our best to continue to recruit our current roster and try to get as many of them as possible to stick around and pursue master's degree programs. So that's kind of the other future outlook that I wanted to point out, is that we have the potential to have, even in this next class, 5 or 6 master's degree students continue to stay and begin their master's degree program at UNK.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach Amy. We appreciate you very much being here with us. We're going to keep it with basketball, and we're going to move on to Kevin Lofton. He's been a member of the UNK men's basketball coaching staff since 1995, starting as a graduate assistant, then serving as an assistant, associate, and co-head coach alongside Tom Kropp, and becoming head coach in 2015. Over the last 5 seasons, Coach Lofton's teams recorded the program's first back-to-back 21 seasons in a decade. And he's coached numerous all-conference players, an All-American, and the Lopers advanced to the MIAA tournament multiple times in the 2016 NCAA tournament round of 32. The Lopers have started their season 2-1, and they're currently in Rapid City, South Dakota for a game Tuesday against South Dakota Mines. Please welcome Coach Lofton.
Thank you. And once again, just like Carrie, I want to thank everyone for being a part of this. I think it's an awesome idea. Just a quick funny story. We were at the gym not more than 30 minutes ago, and I said, "Hey guys, we got a Zoom call, got to hustle up." And Austin says, "Hey coach, what time was that Zoom call? Is it our time at 6:30 or is it their time?" And I turned about as wide as a sheet of paper, and I'm like, "Wow." So we had 15 people sprinting to the bus to get here in time to get on this Zoom call. So yeah, nothing like losing track of time and which time zone you're in. Like Carrie, I'm very excited about our basketball team this year. I think the biggest thing about this team is infectious is, I think we have a really good culture going here and just chemistry. These guys genuinely like each other. And you can see that on the floor when they play. I don't know for those, if you had a chance to come out and watch us against Chadron State, I think you got a glimpse of that, but really excited about this group. We have 13 players on our roster. 5 are returners, starting with Darian Nebiger, Austin Luger, Winston Cook, Matt Bryan, and Parker Betting are all back from last year's team. We went, I think it was 8-14 last year. Obviously, wasn't the kind of year we want to have, and looking forward to going out and playing much better and having a much better showing this year. Newcomers, we'll start with transfers. One is Nick Houston. He comes to us from Idaho, transferred from Idaho State. We started recruiting him at Snow Community College 2 years ago. We didn't get him on that try, but we were able to get him when he was looking to transfer for a place to play. He'll be a senior this year for us. And then we also have David Simital. His sister Haley plays on the women's basketball team. We're very excited to have him. He's every bit as good as we hoped he would be, an even better person, high character kid, really, really represents our program the way we want it represented. And then we have 6 freshmen, 1 from New Zealand, Sean Murphy, and then the rest are from 3 others from Colorado, 1 Sean Evans, 1 Garrett Brown, 1 Thomas Conley, and then we have 1 more from Nebraska and Cameron Binder. So, that's a quick glimpse of our roster. We're going to go as our captains go this year. We have 3 players that I think have to set the tone for us on a nightly basis. One would be Austin Luger. He is an honorable mention all conference returner from last year's team. And then we have Darian Nebiger. I think over the last 10 games, you could say that he was probably one of the best players at his position at the power forward spot. We have him back, and those 2 have a lot of starting experience and have an understanding of what it takes to win in our conference. And then you have, David Simital, who is a senior or a grad transfer. And he's played a lot of basketball throughout the course of his life. This is his 5th year of college. And, he's as good as average size. I think his first game out, he had 25 in a loss to Minnesota Duluth. Right now, our record is 2-1. We lost to Duluth the first game out of the gate, and then we backed it up with a win against Minnesota Crookston, and then we just were successful at home against Chadron State. Kind of the highlights of our year so far, we got to see Lake Superior when we were up in Duluth, Minnesota. I'm 51 years old, and I've only seen 2 of the 4, Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. So that was a big deal for me. So I'm hoping it was a big deal for our kids, especially the 2 from New Zealand. And then today on the way up, we stopped at Mount Rushmore. Again, I'm 51, and I've never seen it. So it was awesome for me to see it. And I think our kids really enjoyed it, especially the 2 from New Zealand. So they were very appreciative of it. So, I think those are 2 highlights outside of starting 2-1. I've been, I guess Trish kind of dated me there. She said 95. I thought it was 94. If you throw the GA ship in there, but I'm so humbled to be the head coach here. This is the only job I've ever wanted. And every morning I wake up, it's a blessing for me to be a part of this program. In the 6 years I've been the head coach, we've graduated 16 players. We have 3 seniors on this year, my 7th year. So in 7 years, we will have graduated 19 kids. And that to me is the most important thing. My philosophy is pretty simple. We want to create an atmosphere and environment where players have a better chance in life to be successful because they were part of our program. It starts with academics. We want to graduate our kids. Then it goes to personal development. We want to try to help them become better people through life lessons, which sports teach. And the last thing is, that we want to help them become better basketball players. I had a guy that I'm very close with. He works with NBA players, and he's also worked at a lot of different Division I universities. And he said, Kevin, when a kid comes to your program, he's trusting you with his dream. Most of these kids, they work all their life to be college basketball players. So we want to work really hard with them, both as a team and individually, to help them reach their goal and reach their full potential, whatever that might be. So, that's kind of what we're focusing on right now, trying to get a little bit better each time out. We started our season, we had 3 scrimmages, 1 at home, 2 in Colorado. I think each scrimmage out, we got better. We had our first game against Minnesota Duluth. I think we ended up losing out by 14. We came out the next day and played a lot better And then against Shadron, we played even better than we did in that game. So if we can get I tell our kids, get 1% better. You know, it's hard to get 50% better or 100% better, but just 1% better each time out. And let's see where that takes us. I think the wins will come along with us getting better, but hopefully people will get a chance to get out and watch this group. It's got something about it that I really, really think it's going to make them fun to watch and fun to be around. I know they'll represent our program, you know, our university and the city of Kearney and the state of Nebraska the right way. That's the one thing I can tell you.
Well, thank you so much, Coach Lofton. We appreciate you being here and being part of this event tonight. We're going to move on to wrestling. Coach Dalton Jensen is a UNK graduate and a 2012 NCAA Division II national champion. He was named head coach of Loper Wrestling in 2016. He previously served as associate head coach and assistant coach at UNK, working under current Loper athletic director Mark Bauer. Since he joined the coaching staff, the Lopers have won 1 national team title, had 2 national runner-up finishes, 9 individual national champions, and 40 All-Americans. That's a mouthful to say. UNK has also won 7 MIAA and 6 West Region titles. The team has already had 3 competitions so far this season, including the Eunice Hospitality Open this past Saturday in Kearney, where I heard there were more than 600 wrestlers at this event, and the team had 16 placers. So congratulations on a great weekend, and welcome Coach Dalton Jensen.
Thanks, Trish. Thanks for everyone for joining tonight. Coach Lofton, I'll mention to you that you got to be careful with that time zone. We had an NCAA tournament a few years ago in Birmingham, and we had a flight out of Atlanta, which is only a couple-hour drive, and that's different time zones. And I didn't find out until that morning, and we did not make that flight. So got to be careful there. Yeah, we have a pretty unique dynamic of a team this year. So, you know, we finished up runner-up at the NCAA championships last year, lost by a point and a half, something that continues to keep me up at night. It's not necessarily the point and a half that keeps us up, not just me, but our guys. It's, you know, we talk about the technical areas and the little things that made a difference that added up to that point and a half. And you know, obviously want to continue to focus and get better in those areas so that doesn't happen again. And, you know, I think you know, if you're going to find a blessing and losing in that close a margin, you know, we ended up having 6 COVID seniors decide to return for this extra COVID year. And you know, I think if maybe we would have won it last year, I think a lot of them probably would have moved on with their lives, but I think it maybe left them hungry and bitter and not wanting to end their career that way, or maybe just not wanting to grow up yet and just want to hang out with us and continue to wrestle and hang out with their buddies for another year. So was really excited to have those guys back again. But with obviously the way our sport is and being a combat sport and having the extra kicker of where they have to lose weight. These guys are 24 years old now, so those COVID seniors, so I kind of have to be a little bit more careful with them, only competing them so often throughout the year and trying to figure that out. I say the dynamic of our team is unique because we have a very strong team coming back we had 20 returners. Our team was pretty small last year. We ended up trickling down to about 25 towards the end of the season. So just have 20 returners this year. And then we had 22 new guys and 18 of those freshmen. And I would say, and Mark's on the call too, typically our freshman class can be anywhere from, you know, last year it was 3. This year, you know, typical years it's maybe 6 to 8, and we ended up with 18. So COVID kind of made it interesting, and actually, you know, in a weird way, you know, kind of made recruiting easier to some degree. Division I was under recruiting dead period for a long time, and I think a lot of those kids kind of started reaching out to the Division II level, and we opened our arms and ended up with a full roster of 42 guys. So, you know, part of that obviously is you know, it thins us out a little bit. So we have to really, you know, make sure we're doing our extra due diligence to care for these guys and give them the time. And obviously the space is a problem, but we are actually in the process of building a new wrestling room, and that's set to potentially break ground here in the next few weeks. So that'll give us an opportunity to have a better training environment that'll provide more space for our guys. We're currently in the basement, and, you know, probably realistically there should probably only be 18 wrestlers going in there at one time, which we've never been that small. But with 42 guys in the roster right now, we're running split practices to make sure we can give guys enough space and obviously keep them safe as well. So with all of our returners coming back, last year we had a record-setting year. We had the most national qualifiers. We qualified all 10 varsity guys for the national tournament. We ended up having also record-setting All-Americans with 9 All-Americans. With that being Wesley Dawkins from Lincoln, Nebraska, Nick James from Kearney, Sam Turner from Colorado Springs, Jacob Wasser from Pennsylvania, Matt Malcolm from Glenwood, Iowa, Terrell Garraway from Olathe, Kansas, Austin Eldridge from McPherson, Kansas, Joseph Reimers from David City, Aquinas, and then Lee Harrington at heavyweight from Kearney as well. So the one guy that did an All-American, Josh Portillo, our light guy, he is a 3-time All-American, just didn't get the job done last year, but won the Eunice Hospitality Open last weekend and looks to be kind of back on par where he should be. Kind of a forecasting or looking at this year and kind of what it looks like. We should be relatively in the hunt again, barring any injuries, and we keep progressing and doing what we're supposed to do. I think we're currently ranked number 2 nationally in the Coaches Association rankings. We're ranked number 1 in the Intermat rankings and number 1 in the Flow Wrestling rankings. I think the Coaches Association rankings has all 10 guys ranked in the top 10. As far as the other 2 rankings that were ranked number 1, I would assume all 10 guys are ranked, but I haven't even looked at them, to be honest. Try not to get too wrapped up into that. Just kind of focus on obviously making sure our guys are doing their job and continue to progress and getting better. Something that I think is equally as important is our academics, like these other coaches have said. The last couple of years, we've been able to finish in the top 10 in the academic GPA rankings. So that's something we hold high standard to as well, and hope we can continue to obviously develop not just good athletes, but good students as well, and help prepare them for life after college. I think other than that, obviously like Trish said, we finished up that Open last weekend. It's great for our community. It was over 600 wrestlers. So that's the biggest that Open's ever been. And hopefully we continue to even grow it, maybe even a little bit more. But that's, again, obviously something that's great, keeps our guys in town. It's obviously a lot of work. We were still tearing down some of that today. And then give our guys this week off for Thanksgiving, let them go home, get out of town, get refreshed, get refocused, and then we'll come back and we'll end up taking our varsity guys out to Las Vegas for a big tournament out there. So looking forward just to continue to compete and progress. And again, thanks everybody for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Coach Jensen. We appreciate it. And just a little story, back in the early 90s when I was in college and I needed a couple of those classes to finish out my senior year and just keep my full-time status, I took yoga in the old wrestling room. So it's been a little multi-purpose over the years, and it wasn't really that smelly. So I was fairly impressed because I know how wrestlers get.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to wrap up tonight with Coach Becky O'Connell. She is the 6th head coach of the swimming program's nearly 60-year history, joining the Lopers in 2018. The Aqua Lopers participate in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference and are currently in the middle of their season. This fall, the team traveled to Alaska and Washington for meets and just returned from a meet in Iowa this past weekend. 2 weekends ago, the team hosted the Loper Fall Fest, earning first both days. Outside the pool, the team has been honored by the College Swimming and Diving Coaches Association of America for their strong academic work. Please welcome Coach Becky O'Connell.
Hey, you know what? Thanks for having me. Am I on?
You sure are.
Okay, great. I just cannot say enough about our team and the progress we're making, and just ditto the other coaches. When everything, working for UNK has been such a blessing for me, and I just am so excited every day, just like Lofton said, to get up and tackle new challenges, because boy, in our sport right now, there are a lot of challenges. So she kind of gave you a rundown of some things that we've done already. We have been off to a great start. And just to recap a little bit, we just got back from Cedar Rapids, and that was a 3-day meet. So when we got there on Friday, we did the mile and the 100 IM and then the 800 relay, which we broke. We're just breaking records and getting all kinds of things done. So it's very, very exciting for the girls. And then the Saturday, Sunday part that was really neat was it's a prelims finals setup. So we go in the morning and you swim your races and you have to be in the top 16 to come back at night. And so that was awesome. We did a great job. And it's a scenario that we like to have the kids go through because that's what our map will look like. And so it's not just the one swim, it's where they're going to swim twice that day. So for example, just to think about some of the different races, some of our young ladies swam the 500 in the morning and cut 5 or 6 seconds, which is unheard of, and then came back at night and swam that 500 again and did it again and cut more time. So if you think about those types of races and what those athletes have trained to do, it's, you know, it's amazing. We've got some long races, the 400 IM, just some of those, all the 200s. And when you swim it in the morning, and then it's awesome because you get to come back and do it again at night. So it's just a training, a thing that we like to go through. And our young ladies represented our UNK and Kearney so well. We were up against teams that this was the type of meet you could take as many athletes as you wanted and enter them in as many events as you wanted. And so a couple of those teams there had 30 girls. Okay, so when you're going in with 18, even though we're strong and we swam big, you know, the numbers, it's just a numbers game. So we added 10 athletes this year, and we've already signed another 10. But going back next year to this meet with another 10 girls is gonna make a huge difference. One thing that I wanted to talk about that is really important to our team is the relays. Those create an air of competition within your own team, if that makes sense. Okay, so if you're on the A relay, which is your top fastest relay, okay, you want to hold your spot. And if you're on the B relay, you're thrilled to be on the B relay, but you'd really like to be on the A relay. So you're working really hard to do that. And of course, if you're on the C relay, you're working to be on the B relay. And if you're not on a relay yet, then that's your goal. So it creates a lot of camaraderie and a lot of working to get those relays to be the best that they can be, because that is how we can score points, and that's a very important part of our sport. I wanted to talk about athletes, and a lot of our athletes come from Nebraska, but we really are branching out to Colorado, Kansas. We've already got signees from Missouri and even Alaska. So I think that's neat that she's coming all the way down to Nebraska to swim with us. We have Maria's from Guatemala this year, so she's our first foreign student that we have. So I know that we're strong with Nebraska athletes, and they are awesome. And but we love to branch out and bring other girls into our sport as well. I think that it is so interesting for me in the recruiting process to have athletes contact me with all the things that they've already researched about UNK and what a great school it is. And so we are adding, I can't tell you how many recruits I have contact me and are just, you know, really excited about UNK. So we will be looking at growing our team. Academics are very, very important to our girls. And the other coaches have talked about that. Academics are important, and also helping them develop and move into the next stage of their life. And, you know, that's time management, that's dedication, that's advocating for their team. There's all kinds of things involved in that. So I feel like sports is just such a great way to help young ladies, young athletes, you know, move to the next step. Let me think. Do you guys have questions? You said you were going to ask some questions.
If you are wrapped up with the message that you want to share, that's a great segue into the last portion. We do want to open it up for questions that anybody has. And we do have a couple questions that we had ahead of time. So we'll see if anybody on here first has a question.
Well, I can keep talking.
Well, actually, there's a couple questions that we'll ask. So, Dalton, you mentioned this a little bit. You know, the winter athletic season, and this is for anybody that wants to address this. The winter athletic season seemed to be a real grind for the athletes with the holidays, semester finals, winter weather, you know, breaks and that kind of stuff. What do you do to keep your student athletes focused and refreshed through? I mean, it's a long season.
It is.
For our team, I feel like we have a little bit of a luxury, I guess you could call it. I guess it just makes our sport a little bit more unique in that It's stressful because all our postseason's relying on 2 tournaments, and one is the regional tournament to qualify for the NCAA championships, and then the other one's obviously the NCAA championships. But really, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Our season it's not like basketball, it's not like volleyball, where I don't want to say our season doesn't matter, but our wins and losses during the season, they don't mean anything as far as our postseason. So I don't get caught up in the wins and losses, especially during those duels or anything like that. If we have guys that need rest or anything like that, and throughout the season, I just go case by case based on those factor guys that are going to be our postseason guys. So again, if they're banged up a little bit, there's no reason for us to push it too much during the November, December, January. We'll wait and make sure those guys are going to be at their fullest capacity come late February and early March. So that's where I guess we have a little bit of a luxury there. But again, with our wrestling being a combat sport, and we have where the guys are having some caloric deficit, it's a long season. They're wrestling 40 matches. As far as the training goes, I think making sure recovery is a big aspect of that. You're seeing D1 football, new locker rooms being built with nap pods in them. So if recovery is important at that stage, it's probably obviously going to be important for our sport. So making sure we're not overtraining guys and especially in the early parts of the year, I think just kind of reminding ourselves that less is more. So that's kind of the focus for our program anyways.
Becky?
I coached high school for a long time, and it is difficult. You barely get rolling, and you've got that Thanksgiving holiday, and then you barely get rolling again, and you have Christmas. So it's kind of the same thing. So what we try to do is schedule meets that really get us pumped up, like this one that we did, where we trained really hard and we taper what's called. So we kind of did a mini taper, which means give them a little bit of rest going into it, and boy, it paid off because they just knocked it out of the park. So now we will come back and we will train in December. We will have a training trip the first part of January. Then we have another meet in Grinnell, Iowa, that's very similar to what we did. So now we'll be ready for that big meet. And so we just keep them going with dangling that out in front of them. And so we need to practice over Christmas. We need to keep it over the holidays and enjoy our families and do all of that, but yet keep training in mind. And then we go to RMAC around Valentine's Day. And so that's our next big push. And we are really focusing on, we'd love to go to nationals. We are a little team that is growing. We are a good team. We want to be a great team. And we're really, really working toward that. And the girls are on board. And I just can't say enough about their attitudes and their helping recruit and getting things so that we can move into that next step, take our team into the next step so that we can add that nationals, which would take us one more month. And boy, our kids train basically year round, when you look at it that way. So adding that extra meet would really be fun for them.
How about, there was a lot of negative things that came out of having last year as a COVID season, if you want to call it that. What are some of the positives that your teams took out of it? And as some of you mentioned that you get some of your players back and you've got that experience, what are maybe a couple other positive things? So Jamie or Bonzel or Lofton, you want to address any of those?
I can just say that I think it helped our student athletes have some sense of normalcy. I felt like I saw a huge improvement in their mental health, in their just demeanors, their attitudes once they were able to get back onto the court and compete and be with their teammates. And so for us, I think that was something that we saw to be very beneficial for our student athletes. But then also too, being a part of the MIAA was crucial for us. They did a great job of kind of pushing forward and saying, okay, we're going to work really hard to provide the opportunity for our student athletes to be able to compete as much as possible. And so, from our own athletic department staff to the MIAA to our athletic trainers, you can just go down the line. A lot of people worked really, really hard to allow us to get back onto the court. And I think it made a huge difference for our team. There's a lot of teams that didn't get to compete near as much as we did last year. And I think, it helped us continue to grow We got to get back out there and keep trying to get better game after game. And, so we were able to continue to grow as a team, and for our individual athletes to continue to get better through game experience. There's a lot of teams and programs that didn't play more than maybe a handful of games, maybe up to 12 to 15, and we were able to play 27 games last year. So we were super fortunate for that. And I think we were benefiting because, yes, like you said, we get to keep several student athletes of ours around for an extra year.
I'll go next if that's all right. I kind of piggyback a lot off of what Carrie had to say. I think the normalcy, as far as, we had a lot of kids that were going through a lot, and being able to get on the basketball court was huge. We were able to play the full 22 game schedule. I think that meant a lot to a lot of our guys. We love Jake Walker, for example, who was a senior and was able to get a full year in before he graduated and went on with his life. Same thing with Sam Morris and RJ Pear, two other kids that graduated. Had some things gone the wrong way, they would not have had that opportunity. The other thing I look at is just life lessons. I had, one for me, and I think for a lot of our kids, it made us appreciate our families. I mean, for example, I had one kid come to me and said, "Coach, I'm worried." I'm like, "Well, why are you worried?" He said, "Well, my mom has COVID, and my dad is immune to has immune issues. So if he catches it, he could be in a lot of trouble." Well, when you get kids dealing with those kind of things, it really makes you step back and appreciate, life itself, and understand that, basketball is just something that we do. We love it and we do it with passion and we enjoy it, but there's a bigger picture out there. So as a coach, you're able to step back and teach that side of it when you start talking about life lessons. So I think there were a lot of little victories in last year. And I think those are just a couple on our side.
I think I can say that our young ladies don't take anything for granted. I mean, it was tough. A couple of our girls actually, got kind of pretty sick and with COVID. And so getting them back on the track, and breathing is a huge thing in our sport. So if you have if you're breathing impaired or your lungs are affected. So I just think that, just like Kevin said, our families, there's so many things involved. And I just know that taking the kids on the road and being able to be normal and doing things that they're used to doing is very important. And they realize that. And not that we took things for granted before, but we certainly don't now.
I think from a track and field standpoint, one of the things that really stood out last year was how the coaches within the MIAA conference really worked together to make things happen. So, our schedules are not, like in a basketball or a football, I say, here's your schedule. Here's what you're doing. Well, on track, we kind of make up our own schedule.
Yeah.
And we have much like swimming, much like wrestling, Olympic sports operate a little bit differently. And we were just we normally go to meets at UNL. Well, the UNL was more than willing to let us in. The Big Ten was not, and then you got maybe some of the smaller schools that we use sometimes those meets to fill in gaps in our schedule. Well, they had to have limited capacity in their facilities, so they just stuck to schools within their conference. So that locked us out. So, I mentioned the 7 home meets. Well, of those away meets, we did have one meet at the Drake Relays. We had one meet at Wichita State. Everything else was in the MIAA. So there was a lot of teams collaborating with each other. And I can tell you, schools like Pitt and Moso do not want to collaborate with each other. They're not friends. They don't normally get along. And sometimes I'm just kind of the, hey, nice, positive, happy-go-lucky, but let's try to get things done guy from Nebraska that really doesn't have any side issues with anybody, because I don't recruit against them that often, and we just compete against them in meets. And that was really neat, because it was all for the sake of us simply being able to compete and provide for the health and well-being of the students that we were working with by giving them an opportunity to compete. And so it'll just be kind of neat to see as we head into this next year and the year after and the after, Do we just revert back to old habits? Do we revert back to old ways of doing things, or do we continue to work together to make things happen? You know, I think the last chance meets that we had here in Kearney, the week after the conference outdoor meet, schools wanted to go south. They had to come north to Kearney because it was their only option. The MIAA did kind of in the spring maybe keep things a little tighter from a testing standpoint than the test results were indicating was necessary. But what that created was teams needing to come to our place for a meet. And I think of Mason Strader from Pitt State and Luke Stuckey from UNK going out and running 343, 344 over at Kearney High in a 1500. For what it's worth, that's about a 401 mile. That would not normally have happened because that race wouldn't have even been set up in the past. We would have all just flown to California to make that race happen. And so that's just one example of many of where in the sport of track and field, we worked together to get it done. And honestly, the MIAA, as good as it always is, was even better because of it.
Thank you so much to all of you. We are going to wrap up so we can get our coaches on their way for the rest of their evening. Megan did submit a question, and I think it's a direct question for Becky. So I will connect the two of you when we are done here. I'll afterwards or tomorrow sometime I will connect the two of you. But thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. For our alumni who are on with us tonight, we do have a drawing for a Loper gift bag, and I have my handy dandy drawing numbers on my phone, and it is Megan Acton is our winner for a Loper gift bag, and some goodies that'll come along with that. So Megan, I will connect with you directly here in a minute, and I am going to turn it over to Lucas to wrap us up.
It's Thanksgiving week, right? So I think there's a lot of gratitude that we all should have for a lot of different things. But I think about the university, and I'm just so grateful to be affiliated with a campus like ours. There's so much positive momentum. What we represent is wonderful. You coaches are tremendous representatives of our campus and our community. It's athletics is such an important part of the front porch of the campus in so many ways, and you guys do a tremendous job representing us with pride, and we're it's just incredible to watch what you're doing, and our student athletes the same. I think about gratitude towards donors. Dalton talking about the wrestling facility, tremendous people stepping up to help with that. Kevin, we had a great effort this fall earlier with raising some money for men's basketball, same for women's basketball. There are people all the time doing things to help the university with their financial situation, with saying nice things about the campus, helping us recruit students. It's led to things like increased enrollment. A ton to be grateful for, and I'm grateful for your time tonight, and appreciate the chance to do these things alongside you. I'm certain we'll have people who will load this and watch it on their own time, even if they weren't here in person. So with that, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and go Lopers.
Go Lopes. Go you Lopes.